Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Are we online? Are we good, Manny? Manzino? Okay. I guess we're good. Hi, everybody. Welcome. So, my name is Steve, for those that don't know me, and for those that know me, I'm still Steve. So, tonight I'm here to talk about this topic, take up your cross. I'm not sure where ideas come from, but sometimes they just come into my head, and this one popped up in my head one day, take up your cross. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and then they told me I needed to give a talk, and so a month later, and then I saw the paper that said take up your cross. I was like, what did that mean? So I'm going to try to explain that. I'm trying to figure it out myself. So I was having a conversation with somebody one day who shall remain anonymous, and we were talking about the cross. And we were having a conversation like, what does the cross mean to you? And what do you guys... Every time I stand here and I'm like, hey, let's get some crowd participation, let's talk. Everybody's just like, not me.
Because if you talk, the people that are watching, you cannot listen.
That doesn't stop you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
It never.
Just repeat.
Yeah. So, well, what do you guys think? What do you think?
I don't feel anything about the cross.
You don't feel anything.
Oh, I do.
Because some people feel a lot of things about it. Like,
A lot of people suffer because they were hung on that cross if they were so condemned by the Romans back in time in history.
so for you, it means suffering, letting people know.
It's the punishment that they got back then if they were so found.
No, but he's asking what the cross meant to you.
That's what it means.
You
Pain.
feel like pain?
For the people the people suffer there.
I
So
don't feel that way.
it's painful to me to see it.
Yeah, it's not something, but there's a lot of, it's funny. I was trying to find this photo. I took this photo one time because there's a guy here in Pompano that has a truck, and the truck has all these Bible verses written all over it. Like, some people like to drive their truck for their favorite political candidate, and this guy his truck was like written all these Bible verses like about Jesus and stuff. And one was John 3:16, a famous, verse in saying, basically saying like Jesus died for your sins, and that's like, when I was growing up, that was like the most common association that I had with the cross, was this idea that when you see the cross, that's usually what it brings, is this idea of Jesus. And as I grew up, like, for me, that image like didn't really work for me, and this is kind of a touchy subject, and I'm probably the wrong person to talk about it, but it's a delicate subject. For some people, like, this is definitely something I have to be careful what I say, because I could offend some people, and I'm trying not to, because we really try to be like open to a lot of different people have different beliefs, and that's pretty much when I was like originally talking to my friend about this topic, was kind of like, hey, let's be open to what other people think. Let's not try to say like, I know what this is about, or you know what this is about. Let's kind of try to, but we have some ideas in Spiritism, and our ideas from Spiritism are a lot different from some of the ideas from like other, traditional religious ideas, things that we're taught, or that we're supposed to be afraid of, or we're supposed to like have these connections with. So the actual phrase "take up your cross" comes from Matthew 16, verse 24 to 26. I did a little research. So Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their soul will lose it, but whoever loses their soul for me will find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul?" I didn't know that Jesus said that. I thought it was Bob Marley He said, gain the world and lose your soul. Wisdom is better than silver and gold. But it was actually Jesus. And the context of this verse is interesting because I'm reading from verse 24 and 26. Earlier in that chapter, Jesus had gathered his disciples and revealed to them that he said to them, in a little while, I'm going to go back to Jerusalem, and the Pharisees and Sadducees are going to charge me with a crime, and then they're going to kill me. And the disciples stood up and said, don't go to Jerusalem. Don't let that. And one of those disciples stand up and said, we're not going to let that happen, basically. And Jesus was like, no, this is what's going to happen. He knew it. He wasn't like a magician or anything like that. He just he knew what was coming. So what do you think Jesus meant by this? Take up their cross and follow me. Because he wasn't saying get a cross, get some wood and make a cross, right?
Like people carry baggage, carry their own philosophy or ideas, take that off, and I don't know.
But he's saying actually pick up the cross.
Yeah.
Pick it up. Pick up your cross and follow me.
Accept yourself and follow me.
So
I think that's what it is. I don't know.
it's interesting. So luckily I can tell you what he meant by it.
I'm glad.
But I don't know. Is my mic still on? Because I don't even hear it. Okay, good. I'll try to talk loud. They always tell me I don't talk loud enough when I'm giving palestras. I think somebody said that was my worst problem giving palestras is I talk too quietly. I don't project my voice enough. So I'm gonna try. I'm trying to improve. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I listen to what people say anyway, but that's what we're here to do. So, are you good?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
He wants to participate too.
We should all participate. So whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. Well, yeah, what is this idea? What is taking up the cross? Because do you think Jesus was trying to tell everybody to become a martyr?
No, not at all.
It's aside your flaws, aside all your problems. You need to overcome. This is the word. It's very difficult to be taught this in English, but
Tell me about it.
overcome your problems. This is the expression.
Overcome your problems.
Overcome your problems. Overcome all the difficulties that you have in your life. You will have bad moments in your life. Learn that. It will not always be good things. But aside all the bad things, you need to follow me with your heart. But you don't need to be a martyr, because all the bad problems, all the bad things that will happen to you is to you learn, and don't lose your faith. But no, he never said you should.
I was going to say that in one of the next slides, so
You see?
yeah. I got to watch who I ask. We're going to get
asked
that.
if you really want to answer. I asked.
It's good. So let me see. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 24, which is the chapter in English is called Don't Hide Your Lamp Under a Bushel. Hide it under a bushel? No, I'm going to let it shine. Just like the song, right? So in this part, it's chapter 24, item number 19, describing what does it mean by this part when it says, take up your cross and follow me. They say, let those who want to follow me take up their cross. That is, they should courageously bear the tribulations that their faith will engender. Because those who want to save their life and their possessions by denying me will lose the advantages of the kingdom of heaven. So, I speak English, and sometimes I have to read it a couple times to figure it out. But there's more. But we'll take it bit by bit. those who want to say that. So what he's talking about is living in the material world, having your focus on the material world and denying the spiritual world, or vice versa, is living with your eyes on the spiritual world rather than living with your focus on the material world. So if our main concern is our possessions and our status and moving ahead in this earth, on this rock, then we're going to lose out on the advantages of the spiritual world. He continues, whereas those who have lost everything in this world, even their life, for the triumph of the truth, will receive in the future life the reward for their courage, perseverance, and self-denial. So the idea is that we focus on, not the small things, the small pains that we may feel here on this earth, but with our eyes looking up towards the heavens always. To those who sacrifice heavenly possessions to earthly pleasures, God says, you have already received your recompense. So if we're not making the sacrifice that we need to make for, to gain these spiritual values, if we're doing all this work to put ourselves ahead here on earth, then that's the payment you get. And, I don't know if it was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, Luigi was giving a talk, and he asked everybody, he was asking you guys, I think it was in English. And he said, why are people so afraid to die? And I was sitting in the back, and I answered, but I didn't answer the right answer. I didn't answer the answer he was looking for. But he said, why are people afraid to die? I thought it was because you're afraid because you don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
That was my answer. Which is like, if we were playing like Family Feud, I think it would be on the board, but it wasn't like the number one answer. It was like down maybe number 3 or 4. But his answer was, why are people afraid to die? Is because you're going to lose everything that you worked for on this earth. The idea that we're born, we go to school, typically we get a job, we try to get promoted, make more money, like build a family, get a nice house and all this stuff, the cars and the boats and the everything that kind of comes along with it. And no, guitars don't count. But I don't want to talk about cameras or microphones either tonight, because those are tools.
Those are possessions.
Those are things that you do to share with other people, but but the cars and the other stuff is like, mostly that stuff is like for to show off, like, oh, look what I have, look what I did, and by working to make money to reward yourself, like that's the payment that you get for that, and that's
Sometimes.
and that's the thing, and that's what he says is, that's what Luigi was talking about, was like, so when you die, you lose all that stuff. So what good is it really? What's the point? What is the point? So I found some more, just so I'm trying to like be thorough in my research. I found some more, and like if somebody else was giving this talk, they might take it in a different direction, but this is kind of the direction that I'm going to go with it. So I invite other people too. If you don't like the direction I'm going with it, you could give a palestra too one day and say, take it in your own direction, but at the very least, I found this stuff in the Spiritist literature, from Allan Kardec and from Chico and things like that. So it's kind of like, for me, it's like when I read this, it kind of associated some things with it, and I said, let me kind of take it in this direction. So from chapter 6 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 6 is the consoling Christ. I think it's in the beginning, it starts out with this verse from Matthew 11, 28 through 30. Come unto me, all you who suffer and who are overburdened. This is Jesus talking. Come unto me, all you who suffer and who are overburdened, and I will comfort you. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me that I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, do you guys know what a yolk is? It's not in the middle of an egg, something different. So back in the day, in these days, like this is like 2,000 years ago, when a farmer was like between the harvest, like after the harvest, they would want to do the replanting. First thing they need to do is plow the field. So they, basically like dredge up all the soil so you get all like the nutrients, everything moving around, and sort of aerate the soil. And that way, when they plant the seeds, they have the best chance of growing and turning into, a good harvest. What they would do is, because they have a big field, they would get the ox to drag the plow. And it seems like a lot of work, and the ox is like a big, strong thing. So the ox would drag the plow. They would wear this thing around their neck called the yoke. And the yoke had the ropes or the tethers attached to it, and that's how they would drag the plow. So now we know what a yoke is. Jesus is saying, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So hopefully that kind of illuminates like the idea, what is Jesus trying to say here? What's his message? Is that take my yoke upon you. Like he's actually saying like to sort of follow me, follow in my footsteps, follow my path. And that this yoke is easy. It's not like the one that the ox is dragging through the dirt. Like this is different. It's easy and my burden is light. So luckily, Alan Kardec describes it better than I do. He says, Jesus places one condition on the assistance and happiness he promises to the afflicted. That condition is found in the law that he teaches. His yoke is the observance of that law, but this yoke is easy and the law is gentle, since it imposes love and charity as a duty. So that's why his yoke is easy. His yoke, the way to follow Jesus, is to practice love and charity, and not money charity. And we're talking about charity, charity I never really heard anybody else talk about charity outside of Spiritism. I visited some different types of like places before I landed in the Spiritist Center. And I never heard anybody talk about charity the way the Spiritists talk about it. So I'm not saying nobody else does, but I hadn't heard it before that way. But, Jesus is saying the way to follow me, like the way to Jesus. Sometimes they say the way to the kingdom of heaven. And we're not talking about like the place in the sky with the golden streets. We're talking about like building the kingdom of heaven in ourselves, like finding happiness, finding peace, serenity, and kind of like moving on up as spirits. It's practicing love and charity. So how far down do you want to go? Question 886 in the Spirit's book, they said, what is the true meaning of the word charity as Jesus understood it? This goes on for a little bit. I just picked a few parts out of it. I do recommend everybody go read further in this. But the short answer is benevolence towards everyone, indulgence towards the imperfection of others, and forgiveness for offenses. But he goes on to say charity, according to Jesus, is not restricted to almsgiving. It's not just about donations of money, donations, to the yard sale, giving away things. Charity embraces all our relations with our fellow humans, whether in situations below, equal, or superior to our own. So this idea that we need to practice indulgence, tolerance for others. In my mind, I kind of think of it a certain way that like sometimes I come to center and I have a job to do here. Like I need to go into that room and like turn everything on. And like I have like really a focus, and I get here and there's somebody like left a bunch of bags outside for the donation for the yard sale, and they didn't have a key, so they're just sitting by the door. And there's certain things like that, or I'm really sort of focused on like what like said I was gonna do or what I like agreed to do. And then sometimes things pop up and you get an opportunity to like give a little extra. Like somebody needs a hand, somebody needs a little bit of your time. And I sort of view it that way, like when I sort of go off of away from my plan and give away a little bit of my time, I feel like it's a little bit, and whenever Luigi's up here, he's always saying like, that's not charity, that's your duty, that's what you're supposed to do, that's what you gotta do. Like that's your, it's not an option, like you just gotta do it. But it's a practice, and when I'm in the groove with the charity, it's like I can sort of flow with that and say like, okay, I'll take the opportunity, I'll like respira profundo and just like go with it. Take a deep breath. Does anybody here not speak Portuguese? Oh, okay. But you know what I meant. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
Larry's out.
he acts like he doesn't speak, but he does speak. He understands everything. So that's just sort of and that's why I'm saying it's not like a total definition. That's sort of like my little thing that I add to it. Like I just feel sort of like when I give away some of my time, because that's something you can never get back, But when you give away your time, it's not like it's not like the deepest level of charity by any means, But it's sort of like a start. It's like a step down the road. So going back to the gospel in chapter 6, the consoling Christ, item number 8, he continues to say, take these 2 words as your motto, devotion and self-denial, and you will be strong, for they summarize all the duties that charity and humility impose on you. So these are 2, important words. Devotion, I guess I should have like Googled what they really mean and give you like the really, to be devoted, like it means like, look, we say a lot of different words like discipline, but when you're devoted, it's like you take the time, you make the effort, even when like you don't feel like doing it, like you don't feel like coming to center, or you don't feel like, like waiting and opening the door for somebody that's like taking too long. But that's not really devotion. But devotion is like when you're really committed, and committed to a point where there's like no other option. It's like you're not gonna like just say I'm too tired, I'm too busy. You're devoted. Like people are devoted to their education, or people are devoted to like Olympic athletes are devoted to their to their workout routine, whatever they have to do, their stretching and everything. It takes like some type of devotion. In this case, we're talking about devotion where it's like a life mission to practice charity in a way that you know what I mean, right? It's from the heart, like serious, like a deep level. Self-denial, like, when you sometimes it's like you don't even want to do it, or maybe you're tired and you do it anyway. These should be our motto. It's like should be like a mantra for us to be devoted and self-denial. And, self-denial, sometimes it just means putting somebody else's needs ahead of our own needs, putting somebody else first. It's funny, like, I think it was just on Monday, talk about Luigi again. He's not here tonight, but luckily, since I'm here, like, for all the lectures, I hear everything that everybody says. and luckily, on Monday, somebody was here to translate, and I got to understand what he was saying. He was talking about when we practice this idea of putting somebody else ahead of ourselves, like doing something for somebody else, giving something away to somebody else, or doing something. And he was saying even when you don't want to do it, but he was talking about how they did a study where they were like analyzing people's brain signals, and they said that like people who are practicing like charity and benevolence on this level, like doing something for somebody else, giving something away, that their brain actually like lit up in the most amazing way that like made them happy. And even when they didn't like want to do it, they still got the benefits of it. So he's like, you know, and that's why I thought about that that saying when he says my yoke is gentle and my burden is light. It's like, because it's not even that difficult to practice love and charity. The only thing that makes it difficult is like we make it difficult because we want to like make it like it's a lot of work for us to do something. And really it's like it's the easiest thing to do is to be loving and be charitable and kind of go with it and stop trying to force everything and stop trying to fight against it. And that's kind of like why, that's sort of what I got from the yoke is easy. It's like it almost pulls you with it. You don't really have to push against it anymore. So moving on from chapter 6, Consoling Christ, the sentiment of a duty fulfilled will provide resignation and rest for your spirit. The heart beats better, the soul becomes serene, and the body is no longer feeble. So what they're saying is like it actually gives you strength, it makes you happier, and gives us like peace just to have this feeling that we're fulfilling this duty, that we're doing something that we should be doing, and not because we have to do it, but it actually, it's the best thing for ourselves. You know, like they say, help me, help you. You know, it's actually helping you is helping me. So that's kind of where I was going to go with this idea of take up your cross. Is this just this idea that we should take up this, you know, like Jesus's cross was a literal cross, but we're not taking up an actual cross. But what he was talking about was this way of living and this way of, you know, living a life where you put others' needs ahead of your own needs, and a way of living to be of service to other people. And in that way, it seems like you're always giving something away, but the rewards for the work that we do is, you know, 10 times better than the rewards of just working all the time, like trying to make yourself like comfortable in this material world. So I love literature. So I went ahead in our daily bread. And this is something I like to, you know, I get up on Sundays and I have my little breakfast and then I read something from our daily bread. Well, there's 180 chapters. So it's like if I do it every week, it'll take me about 3 years to get through it. So I still have some time. So I skipped ahead for this one. This is actually the last chapter. But in this chapter it says, believe and follow. Yeah. As you sent me into the world, I have sent them into the world. Jesus said that. So I just wanted to read this for you because it's pretty short. And this is written by the Spirit Emmanuel through the work of Chico Javier. He says, my friend, if you embrace the Christian Spiritist task in the name of the sublime faith, thirsting for a superior life, bear in mind that the Master sent you a renewed heart to the vast field of the world in order to serve him. You will not only teach the righteous path, your actions will be in accordance with the elevated principles that you preach. You will dictate noble directives to others, but you will proceed within them as well. You will proclaim the necessity for good humor as well as proceed on the path spreading happiness and blessings, even when you are misunderstood by all. So that's why we give palestras. We're here to teach the righteous path. And hopefully, I mean, this is what I say, hopefully we practice what we preach. And that's why I can't like come up here and say that I do this perfectly. A lot of you guys know I don't anyway. But this is why I like to read this, you know, on the weekends, and I go into work and then like this will be on my mind, and it's like it's a great place to practice you know, to practice charity, benevolence, indulgence, intolerance, not intolerance, tolerance, tolerance, with my coworkers. Yeah, oh yeah, the cats, forget about it. So yeah, because he says you will dictate noble directives to others, but you'll proceed within them as well. And every day it's like you take a little step further, you get like another opportunity to do something. And it's funny because like I work with some difficult people. I know I'm the only one here. I know that you guys probably all have perfect jobs, but I work at like the lower umbral, like like lower level. And it's kind of amazing to me that after like a few years of like doing a little bit of study, a little bit of practice, like a lot of prayer, I can actually go in and like look at my coworkers and say like that there's been a change, like that we've evolved like together, that they've actually had a positive impact on me, and I've had a little bit of a positive impact on them, and that we've kind of like moved forward like together. And yeah, I mean, we still might end up in prison together one day, but that's, at least we can move forward on our evolutionary path. That's another story for another time. You will not be content in distributing coins and immediate benefits. You'll always donate something of your own to whomsoever is in need. It will not be enough to be forgiving. You will understand the offender, assisting in the transformation. Yeah, that's a tough one. Like, to not just like forgive somebody, but to actually like try to put yourself in their shoes and try to like, and try to understand, like when we realize like we've been here through multiple incarnations, that we really have no right to judge somebody and to, and to put ourselves above them, to be in the position to say like, well, I forgive you, like we really need to like put ourselves on equal footing with everyone. And if you have the opportunity, like in forgiving someone, to assist them, to help them like elevate themselves a little bit, then that is like the icing on the cake. All right. You shall not be critical. You will encounter unexpected resources to be useful. You will not be demanding. You'll take advantage of time in order to materialize the good thoughts that direct you. You will not argue uselessly. You will find the path of service to others anywhere. You will not simply combat evil with words, but you will obtain goodness, planting it in everyone. You will not condemn. You will discover the light of love in order to have it shine within your heart until the sacrifice. Pray and be vigilant. Love and wait. Serve and renounce. If you are not disposed to take advantage of the lesson of the Divine Master, molding your very own life to his teachings, your faith will have been in vain. So that's why I sort of said maybe somebody else might have taken this talk in a different direction, but when I get that idea, like to take up your cross and follow me, that's where I sort of go with it. Is like, you need to, well, for me, that's sort of how I got this idea for this talk, is I was here one night and I was thinking about like the amount of time I spend at center, and I sort of felt like this is like some service that I get to do, and I started to think of that as like kind of like a cross. It's not like in a way, like when you say like take up your cross, it's like, how are you going to serve others, and have you found like your path to service? And for everybody it might be something different. Some people, I mean, that's why this place, the Spiritist Center, is such a great place. There's so many different opportunities to practice service here. Like, there's something for everyone. Even somebody that thinks that they can't do it, like, we'll find something for you to do. Even somebody is like 80 years old, like, we find work for you to do. Like, actually, you get more work because, you have less time, so you. Sorry.
Have to catch up.
Wow.
Have to catch up.
So I get like spiritual and then I bring it right back down to
No, we will not judge. And we will not.
No, you can just say, I'll be back.
Good for you.
But everybody here like gets an opportunity. You know, and there's opportunities outside of the Spiritist Center, but there's so much work to be done in this place too that it's like it's an amazing place. You know, there's so much, and there's always new people coming in, people that need assistance, and then you get to like sometimes you have the opportunity to help somebody here, and then they sort of like get back on their feet, and then you watch them like grow and have the opportunity to help somebody else, and it's like this big, you know, never-ending cycle, and it's like paying it forward all the time, and that's why this is such an amazing place. And I guess it's a good time to mention that we're coming up on the 10th anniversary of Broward Spiritist Society, you know, which is like amazing, because I had just started coming here for a little while, like when we had the 5th anniversary, so like it's like I can't believe like 5 years have passed by so quickly, but it's an amazing place. And, you know, I mean, that's why I would say, like, other people might have a different idea of, like, what the cross is. But in my mind, I sort of imagine it being this idea of, like, some type of service, like something you can do to put the needs of somebody else ahead of your own needs, something you can do to give away something to somebody else. And you know, there's an old saying that's like sort of a paradox, is like you can only keep what you have if you give it away. And in that way, it's like by sharing, you're not losing anything. You're actually, spreading the joy. You know, they say like if you shine a light for someone else, it lights your path as well. You know, that's an old saying. And I look forward to hearing the next palestra of what taking up your cross like really should mean to somebody else, but this is kind of like where I put my spin on it. So I really hope you guys enjoy the talk. I don't know if you have any questions. You can talk to me later. Thank you to everyone watching online, and you've been a great crowd. and thank you.